of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for being here tonight. Our president, Carrie Germain, Ms. Carrie Germain is out of town tonight, so I will be taking over leading the meeting. I hope I do as fine a job as she does. Awards, recognitions, and celebrations, number 3.
So I'll save my celebration for my report, but I will say one thing to celebrate is that our STEM camp out at Deke has been going fantastic. I'd encourage anyone that gets a chance to go take a look at it. It's the kids are engaged in tremendously engaging activities. We started out with 2nd and 3rd grade, I believe, Rod, and now we're on, is that right?
K2 and then
K2, and now we're going 3-5 starting next week, and then we'll actually even have a component for middle school. So it's really fun. The kids are engaged in a lot of dynamic activities, so I would encourage anybody to be able to go out there and see some of the amazing things that the staff and students are working on during the day, Monday through Thursday.
Is Ms. Belby doing the instruction there?
She is, yep.
Can I add one?
Mm-hmm.
So our high school archery team, last year they qualified to go to the national tournament. This year they qualified to go to the national tournament in both target and 3D archery. And this year qualified to now go to the world tournament in 3D archery. So our program is excelling by leaps and bounds every year, and then we're now going to be expanding into the middle school this next year also.
Fantastic.
Can I ask how many members are on the team?
I wish I knew that number. I want to say it's 40-some high school students total. There are some that don't compete because it is a club sport, so they come to practices, they learn the skills, but they don't necessarily compete in the competitions. Competition is at least 25 students, I would say. And I'm just estimating, honestly. And they'll be going to Nashville and competing.
Where are they
in
shooting?
July. At the
I know the
Yum Center, because it's, I
What
think
center?
that's what it's called, the Yum Center. Is that, I
Is
don't
that
know.
out of town?
It's whoever's in
Yeah.
Kentucky Fried Chicken in charge or something, I don't know, but.
I'll find out later.
Yeah,
All right, we're gonna
it's
move.
like Comerica, it's whoever is sponsored the venue.
We're going to move to public comments. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to speak in front of the board? That needs to be agenda specific. Anybody? Seeing none, we'll move to number 5, consent agenda. I would like to amend our agenda and remove 9B, coddling of the American Mind Book Study, Chapter 7-8. I'd like to remove that and adjourn it to the next meeting. If that's okay, if I could take that off the agenda.
Sure.
And other than that, do I have a motion as amended? Mike?
Support.
Jessica? Mike and Jessica. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Superintendent report.
I'm gonna talk about my celebration right now, and Joanne, you'll have to do this with us. We're gonna do something real non-traditional. Everybody that's at this table and everybody in the audience is welcome to come. We're gonna actually go for a tour of our bus, our what's called the Dragon Diner. So Joanne, you'll have to stick with us to take notes. And I'd like to bring up Mary Penrod and Susie Waddell. They're both here. Mary is our transportation office lead, and Susie is one of our secretaries over in the Operations and Transportation Center. And they're both working very diligently all year round on helping make sure our routes and everything gets done over there. They've been involved at a grassroots level with the food, with the Dragon Diner with Michael. They both work for, with and for Michael in his office. So they're going to be our tour guides, and they have a couple things they'll say before we'll go out and look at it.
We'd just like to say we're really proud of this venture, and we're really excited to be a part of it. From just an off-the-wall conversation about, hey, look at this, to hey, we could do this, and hey, we could use this bus, and hey, we could do this. And just hours of brainstorming between all of us, and we gotta send a shout out to Rich Brownfield, who was just fabulous, instrumental in lowering our expectations down to what a bus could actually do when we wanted to set it on the ground. When we wanted to do all this crazy stuff, and he said, no, calm down, just calm down. And they were great, the guys in the garage were great, and just very instrumental in helping us out and organizing and just letting things come together, and we tried to use local people as much as we could. And we're really proud of this, and we really want it to succeed.
Awesome. Would you give us a tour?
Sure, can we hand these out real quick?
Absolutely.
So he's gonna give you some buttons that we had made. And these are just some schedules that we have. Thank you.
So, can we have a few questions?
Sure.
Oh, that's
What was the cost of the bus? So if anybody should ask, I know.
I believe the
That's your
actual cost of the bus was like $7,000, but don't quote me on that.
And that was basically all of repaint and.
No, the
No?
paint charge was much more. The district owned the bus.
Yes.
So the food service department had to buy the bus from the district, I believe that's the way that went. And then, of course, there's the cost for, you know, the paint and some of the supplies, and I don't have the exact number, I mean, I know what the paint cost and, you know, that type of thing, but the exact number.
Well, I thought we had some donations that took care
And
of
we did,
a lot of.
so, and we did have some, Michael would have all those facts, and I will leave that to him to give you the, all the
Michael
facts
will
and
come give
figures.
a report at an upcoming.
Right, when we have the final, what we need to.
Is the bus ready to roll then with all the equipment inside?
Yep, we're gonna go check it out. We are ready to go.
All
So
right.
this calendar's for the next week?
Just
Just
next
for the
week.
next week.
And then it will be
Yes. And
varied
rotate
all
every
the
week.
time.
Yep.
Kind of still a work in progress, but that, figure out where the need is.
Oh, then I'm going through first.
Scrounge, I didn't see any food, so that's why I keep. That's what up to you guys. Chuck was saying, are we gonna have food?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a hot dog or something. Hamburger.
No, the popcorn would pop in there.
I'll be back.
Seymour and Van Wade were closed. Come down, fire department cut the quick.
What time did that come through, about 5:30?
Yeah, I came home and my wife said it's hailing, and actually, all 3 roads were closed down. Hill Road was closed down, so I come down that way. Seymour Road was closed.
We didn't get any of that, in the 22
No,
block.
as soon as they cleared the roads, me and Jackie got in the car and took the dogs for a ride, and if you got north of,
69?
69, there's nothing.
I
It's
know.
on their schedule.
I mean, we had some strong
Everything
winds.
south.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah, because I had the car sitting outside, I certainly didn't want hail to get them.
Yeah.
That looks just like the bus too.
Doesn't it?
It's a little cute rendering.
Yeah.
So,
It was gonna have Swartz, well, it had the little dragon on there, but are we gonna put some more?
it's gonna have Dragon Diner, it's gonna have the
Good.
Smitch, Swartz Creek Mobile Initiative to Curb Hunger.
Okay.
And it's also gonna have a couple other quotes, that are put on there. The sign that's typically a stop sign that comes out, on a normal school bus,
Yeah.
they're gonna have operational, but it's gonna be a sign that has some logos and stuff on it.
Good. Very
It's,
good. That's nice.
so by next week,
Beautiful.
we'll be able to get pictures, and by our next board meeting, certainly have some things, but I'm really excited, to announce it just came through Michael. The reason why he couldn't be here tonight was actually, at a banquet. He had applied for a Be a Star Award, which is, through, a group that recognizes outstanding, accomplishments for school districts. And, Michael just texted that the school district will be receiving an award for this project of $100,000.
Oh my goodness.
So, pretty impressive. So we're gonna hear more about, the program as, it gets off the ground and running, and so it's certainly something to celebrate. And Mary and Susie, thank you for all your hard work on the project, and pass along our thanks to Rich. I talked to him today, but thank him as well, and, pretty great things going on.
Where's that money coming from?
The group is called Jewel. It's a Be a Star Award, and they awarded Michael just found out that we got $100,000. It'll be an award to Swartz Creek Community Schools.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you, Mary, Susie, and Michael. You can hear me. Excellent. Anything else, anything more for the superintendent report?
At this point, I'll have a lot more to update you on in August. I will, two other quick items. The agenda is looking light for August 7th, and I also have had a situation where I have applied to a superintendent's academy for my own professional development. I was accepted, but the first meeting dates, the face-to-face meeting dates, would conflict with our next board meeting. Based on the fact that we've been able to get most of our business done, I think by the August 21st meeting, we'll have some bond things to discuss at that one. I'm just asking for your I guess, permission, or if you prefer to run the meeting, we can run the meeting. Rob can certainly do
Make
that.
a motion that we cancel it.
Okay.
Support.
Okay.
I'm gonna be on vacation.
Okay.
Well, Michael's not gonna be here, I don't think.
So am I.
Yes. Yeah. So, oh, absolutely, for sure.
No, okay, so we're getting our bids. Are they gonna be in before the 21st or the 14th? I just don't wanna wait too long to the start of school to look at the bids.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna do that in my update today, but you will be asked to approve bids on the board meeting on August 21st. So you're gonna have a window of time where you're gonna have that information in your hands well before the board meeting, but I'll go over that in my bond update too.
Okay, I didn't know if we should maybe, if you guys wanna cancel the 7th and the 21st was too late, to maybe make it the 14th.
Good.
Because I don't wanna get behind the 8 ball on these bids, cause we've already been,
There.
kind of, we stalled because of the bids came in really high. That's all, and that's up to the board. I just want that out there, and I don't know if the bids will be ready by the 14th.
Probably not, because it's August 13th, they open them. So I don't know if they're gonna have time to that and do all they need to do.
They might even have time by the 21st, that's only 7 days, that's what you're saying.
They will, yeah. So the 13th is when they do the bid opening. They're gonna do all their post-bid interviews. They'll have the first round of recommendations, which is gonna be for foundations and getting those things done. They're gonna recommend those on the 21st, and
Okay.
that's part of their plan.
All right,
So.
that's all I wanted to do, thank you.
Mhm.
So, that meeting's canceled.
So, okay, so we'll get on top of that. And, other than that, I'll,
Do we,
We didn't
We
actually.
didn't vote on it, actually.
No, we didn't
No.
vote,
we
Newbie
didn't
board
vote.
member
I'm not,
question.
know that
We-
we needed a resolution.
we do probably not need a resolution on that, so.
we don't have a specific number of meetings that we have to conduct, correct?
No,
Okay.
well,
I didn't know.
yes, we have to have, our policy says one a month, yes,
Okay.
so, yep.
So this would be an extra.
It would have been it's a second meeting.
Yeah, okay. Just wanna make sure I don't need to make up anything.
If there's nothing else for the superintendent report, the board subcommittee
Oh.
reports. Tony, you wanna?
Yeah, we had our building and site committee. We met this Monday, and we started at 3:39. We started something new with this building and site. We're gonna start recapping from the previous meetings. We talked about the Lions Club, them acquiring the land, and there's no resolution on that. We're still in negotiations with them. We are gonna get a update on Mary Crapel probably in the fall on what the group is gonna do with it, but right now, they're still assessing the building, and they'll come to us later this year on what they wanna do. The cage locker rooms need to have new flooring put in. What they say, about 400 square foot for both locker rooms?
Yes. The cost of?
6,300.
Yes. Well, we asked for a couple more bids.
Right, we're getting 2 more bids to have 3. Moisture's coming up through the floor and buckling the floor, making it unsafe and a tripping hazard, so that needs to be fixed. We are also going to, they're moving the EI room in the middle school. So by doing that, they have to replace some glass panels, because it's moving to a room that has glass on the outside. And GSRP room is being moved in Elms, and we're waiting for the health inspection to come back, that everything is safe to do that. This summer yet, we're gonna move all the playground equipment from Mary Crapel to Moorish and Elms. So everything that's at Mary Crapel is gonna be moved to the 2.
Little Dragons.
Little Dragons,
ones
okay.
from the Little Dragons.
The big play set is going to Moorish.
Morris, yep.
We did have public comments, and the meeting was adjourned at 4:30.
I guess I did have one question, Tony, and you probably won't even know this, maybe Ben would. I drove over behind Mary Crapel that day, and there's a lot of equipment out there. Besides the pavilion, they've got those 2 huge children's devices they climb on. All of they're huge.
Yeah, those are what's being moved.
All 3 of those, is that pavilion being moved?
The pavilion is not being moved,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I do have one question while we're on Mary Crapel. Go ahead, Tony.
No, what,
I know that some of our boosters have sunk some money into that ball field. And when and if they do take it over, they said they're gonna turn it into like a public area. What are we gonna do with the ball field? Is that gonna be part of that's part of theirs anyways, but so obviously we'll lose part of the ball field. So I guess what I'm getting at, if that happens, I don't want a bunch of parents keep putting money into that if we're going to lose the ball field in the next few years. And I don't even know if we're gonna lose it, but it is a
Sure.
potential that we lose it. And I've talked to some parents that have raised money for it, thinking, or maybe not knowing how long we're gonna own that field for their children to use the ball field.
Yeah, it's a great point.
So what should we do about that?
Yeah, so, first thing on that, we had some storm damage this past week.
Yes.
And we're facing the same question, how much money are we gonna put in to fix the fencing, the bleachers and that? So, we are doing some minimal things, cause we have to make sure it's at least safe for anybody that would be using it. So, we are doing some minimal fixing, but until we know what's gonna happen with that, we are gonna advise anybody, and certainly in terms of the boosters,
Yeah.
to just sit put on that. If there were to be a situation where they were to acquire that property and they commence with the sale, we have to look at our existing facilities. We've had some conversations briefly about where another field might go, but part of that would be at their cost, that they would have to build a brand new field, equal, essentially, equally equipped if we lose it. So that will be certainly a conversation for all of the board to weigh in on when we get to that point.
Okay.
So it's a
All
good
right.
point. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mike?
We had a very short finance meeting Monday. We are now operating under the new fiscal year. We received and discussed a consent agenda payment of bills and a check register, which you have a copy in your packets for review. Check register for June's been reviewed. The following note. General fund had 105 checks in amount of $298,817. Payroll fund, 21 checks, $2,729,228. Building and site fund, 1 check for $4,000. Cafeteria fund, 6 checks, $91,142. Internal activity fund, 40 checks, $49,122. Bond project fund, 5 checks for a total of $61,131.
It's,
I think I got a typo there.
yeah.
Too many ones?
I'm like, that's a lot of millions.
That is a typo. Okay, it's 61,131.
Yeah.
Currently, there are no more bids out.
That's supposed to be approved.
Travis Smith reviewed the bond technology purchases and installations that are ongoing, including the Chromebooks, cards, cameras, and the PA system. The Gaines PA system will be installed first due to their system being down. We had no public comments. Next meeting is August 5th at 3 p.m. We adjourned at 3:29.
Any questions? Seeing none. I'll do the academic and the policy if you don't mind. They were actually grouped together Monday morning, and it's pretty simple. It's these pages that we were given earlier today, but it's been on the computer. It's the handbook updates and amendments, and that's what we did for the policy and academic achievement. We looked at the 2019-2020 student handbooks, the high school, the middle school, elementary, Little Dragons, and the athletics, and they were just small amendments in each one. And hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review the information that's here. It was on our computer, it was sent to us, I think Monday. So it was recommended, we reviewed, we discussed, and we're making these recommendations tonight for approval.
I got one
Yes,
more thing.
Yes, Mike.
We agreed that next year we're gonna look into consolidating all those handbooks, maybe into 1 or 2 handbooks
Yep.
instead of 7.
Yeah. A
Which
lot
is
of
quite
duplication,
redundant.
there's a lot of duplication of efforts, and so I think a couple years ago, we spent quite a bit of time really overhauling the handbooks, and I think we need to go through that process again this next year, and as a part of that, maybe think about having a goal of consolidating. I know that also during the policy meeting, we talked a little bit about, when we were going through handbooks, our policies on, and guidelines on lice and diseases.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna make sure Mrs. Gardner had a chance to share.
Yes, so I am submitting to our vice president / policy chair some guidelines according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, as well as recommendations from the Centers of Disease Control for head lice information for schools, to review at our next policy committee meeting, to review our actual board policy. So our handbooks are in line with our policies, but our policy needs to be revisited on the requirement that children not attend school in the event of an infestation of head lice. Recommendations from CDC is to not do that, and our goal obviously is to not impact children's attendance in school. So I'm gonna give these to you, and we'll revisit those at our next policy meeting.
And I would like to give these to their CEO. I touched there.
So those are the references I would think are the most reputable to be reviewing, and then we'll revisit our policy to make sure that we're in accordance with those.
Any other questions? Mike?
Back to the finance committee.
Yeah.
I think that what I have in there is what has been total spent to date.
Are you talking about for the bond?
$61,131,848.
The actual total what was spent was $76,179.94. There
That's
was
for
one
June.
check voided, yeah, that number you came up with, there was a voided check, so it made it. Your typo was the 61, part of the 61 million, cause that number, the $131,848.63 for June, that's the same amount that you have on here, but that includes the voided check.
Okay, thank you.
So the total, it should say bond project fund 5 checks totaling 76,000, well, yeah. 4 checks, 1 voided, plus 1 voided, totaling it.
Any questions on that?
Can you get that changed to Joanne?
Seeing that, if you would like, Ben, I'd like to just kind of bring everybody up to date about the bond steering committee.
Sure.
You wanna help out with that?
Sure.
Okay.
I was gonna do that in my report, so.
Okay, well then go ahead, I'll let you, my notes are here.
I mean, you're welcome to do it if you want.
No, I will trust your, notes over mine anytime. Okay, so where are we? Well, that's the next, item,
Yep.
bond update.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass these, a few of these artifacts around. This is, to the extent that any of you want any of these documents, you're always welcome to have them. These first few packages of the bond scope are our elementary schools. So what I have right here are two, as you recall, we tried really quickly to get out and get ahead of the curve and get construction started quickly. Part of that meant that some of the packages they weren't fully complete, so we were trying to bid out just the entrances. That proved to be non-beneficial because they weren't big enough to draw enough attention for competitive bids. The recommendation from the construction manager is to put all the packages in their entirety together and advertise them as fall, winter, and summer work for next year, knowing that everybody's schedules for this summer had already been booked. So we're hoping that these bids are going to draw a little bit more competitive bidding. These projects are going to be going out on they're going to be going out on July 22nd. So they're being built right now. Brian just talked about a steering committee we had today. These are complete sets of all 5 elementary schools. So I've got 2 complete sets so that I save some trees, but I do have them here if you'd like to see, if you maybe want to just pass a couple down. This is all 5 elementary schools. Deke, Morrish, and Elms all look very similar. I know that I've been updating you fairly regularly on these projects, but these sets are fully inclusive of the mechanical, the electrical, the air conditioning, the secure entries. All of those things are a part of these packages. Now one of the things that I want to make clear is that the site work, meaning the parking and entries to the buildings, those are going to come later on. And the rationale behind that is because as you're doing construction, right, you're not gonna do your parking lots first and then drive over them with heavy equipment and machinery. So what's going to happen is, with the exception of Cyrene Elementary School, all of the site work at the buildings are not included in these packages. Those will come after this work is completed. So this is everything. So it's been a lot of extra work and time for them to design and build every single aspect. The air conditioning units and selecting what they would look like in those elementary schools, how to retrofit those to fit each classroom, how to make sure that we're realizing economies of scale and what we're purchasing. All of those decisions have been a part of what we're doing relative to these packages. So that's an update of where we're at on the elementary schools. The elementary school packages, as I stated, are going to be 5 separate projects. There's probably going to be about 75 different bid divisions as a result of, if you think about every one of the 5 projects has different trades that need to be completed. So the process at this point is that on the 22nd of July, the bids will go live. They get submitted to a number of contractor sites that are contractors who are big enough and bonded to be able to do this level of work. We try and use local contractors that are bonded, insured, and able to do the work as much as possible, but a lot of that's going to depend on where the bids come in. So again, these are going to be done via sealed bid. On August 13th, we will have the bid openings, and at the bid openings, what we're going to be seeing is the results of who bid what price for each bid division. That's an open meeting. It's going to be held in this room. Many of the contractors will attend, and after that is done, our construction managers will take that back and they will do post-bid interviews. And essentially what that process is finding out the contractor bid X amount of dollars. Do we feel and can we recommend that they can actually get the job done? They've got a track record of being able to do it in other places, and so they do some background checking for us. It might be somebody that they've worked with in the past, but it might be somebody that they haven't necessarily worked with, and so they need to go out and do some field work and do some post interviews and walkthroughs with them, and so that's what happens after the 13th. On the 21st, which is going to be our next board meeting, prior to that, on probably the 14th and 15th, I'll be sending you the bid results. So you'll be able to see the bid results. Probably on the Monday of the day that we have our committee meetings, which would be the 19th of August, is probably when I'm going to send you the recommendations from our construction manager. And the recommendations are going to include each bid division that they're recommending. Likely on the 21st, they're going to be recommending things such as foundations, the rough construction, the carpentry, the things that need to be done to build the structure. And then many of the finish work, the things that happen later on, they'll probably be bringing those recommendations at the September board meeting. So to kind of put that into perspective, we're going to ask you to approve the first round of work on the 21st so that come September, we can start putting a shovel in the ground and getting these projects done, getting them off the ground. So that's an exciting time, and we are starting with these elementary schools. With that being said, there's also simultaneously work being done and design on a variety of other spaces. So this right here, I think I do have enough for the board to each have one. This is a very, very rough look at our middle school. And so the middle school has been a couple major areas that they're going to be looking at. I'll give you guys one for just a second. So if you look at this document here, you'll be able to see there's a variety of projects going on at the middle school. Internally, we're doing things such as upgrading, obviously the air. They're doing a new fire alarm system, which will actually be coming sooner than later because that one has to even be tried to be done before we get too far into the fall. We also have this office addition, which is going to be right into that front space there. There will be secure entries so that we have a fully contained office area, support staff area. There really isn't a reason for any visitors to be entering the building unless they're volunteering for a class. And we actually have a meeting with a group from Raptor Technologies, which is a school safety technology that we're looking into. There may be some work that we can do with them to even make enhance kind of our space here. If you look on the let's see, this would be the east side of the building. I'm kind of turned around. Southeast. The southeast side of the building is where our STEM space is going to be added on. So if you can imagine driving in from Crapo Street, and if you're coming in off that area, the baseball field is right there, and then kind of that first thing you're going to see is that new STEM wing. And that STEM wing will consist of an art classroom with a kiln room, 3 separate classrooms, and an innovation zone space where the kids will be able to use the equipment and machines and those types of things. So again, we're expanding our STEM initiative that we started at the elementaries, moving that up. So lots of design work, lots of excitement on this, but we're very eagerly awaiting what comes through on the bid awards. So we'll know by our next meeting, and you'll be given communication probably the day or so after those bids are opened. And then recommendations will be the day that we have our next committee meetings, which is August 19th, and I'll be able to come through and do that. So that's kind of where we're at with the bond. Still on track to get our shovel in the ground in September, and we're excited about that. So, anybody have any questions on that process? Yeah.
The 600, is it the 600? 800? Can't read that. Yes, it's 800. In the middle school, is that where the virtual learning center?
It is, yep, that's the virtual learning center. You'll notice there's a set of double doors right here. That is kind of its own self-contained wing.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what that was gonna be my next question, because I don't know how to read what those things are.
Yep.
Okay, so it has its own secured entrance and exit?
It does, and actually their secured entrance is already up. It's at this area, there's a parking
Okay.
lot right here. And so you actually have to get buzzed into those two doors.
Okay.
So, yep. Any other questions? More to come for sure, and just be prepared for that next communication that's coming through.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Thank you.
C, 2019-2020 school board meeting reports plan.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask at this time is for you just to have a little discussion. It doesn't need to be a long discussion, but historically, we've had some mixed feelings on the board in terms of school board reports. My preference and what I'm used to is that at every board meeting, we would have a 10 to 15 minute report from some department. So for example, you saw the band and music report at our last board meeting. That is something that I'm used to and accustomed to, but I also want to make sure it's the reports that you want. And so what I'm trying to get a handle on is for this next school year, I could do everything from not bring you very many reports to bring you a report every meeting. And I would be happy to have buildings come and do reports. So for example, it might be nice to say, we're gonna ask the, Elms Road Elementary School to come and do a report and talk a little bit about some of the things that they're doing that are maybe unique to them. I feel like those are good pieces of information for you to have as a board, and so that you're, connected with some of the different departments that you may or may not even know about that we're doing. But I don't want to overwhelm or over report to you, and so I'm kind of asking for some guidance on A, do you want me to have reports on a fairly regular basis? And then B, are there specific reports that you'd like to see over the course of the next school year?
I'll go first. No, go ahead, Mike.
You're first.
I think I have mentioned this. When you say report, I would, and while you're talking, I personally would like to see two different kinds of reports. One in writing in advance, that from each of the different buildings and programs, so we just know what's going on. There's so many different things where, even like a paragraph, so we know what's happening all over the place. And we can read it in advance, and then in person have from the different areas, whether it's the band or, Michael coming back, so there's somebody that we can talk to and dive a little deeper each month. So I would like both.
So a
of
monthly
those.
summary.
I'd like a monthly summary from, yes, all the buildings and each of the principals maybe. I don't know if I'm,
What we've had in the past.
yeah,
There are more presentations than reports. The report is when the administrator comes here and talks to us. And we would have, like Mrs. Michaelo. And then we've slacked off because some people didn't care to have them. I would like to see them continue or pick back up. I don't care if maybe in December, at Christmas time, that we skip that month. I wouldn't care, but I would like to see it. I'd like to see us go back to that and have the presentations. I would like to hear from the liaison officer. We haven't heard from him for quite a while. There are others
Yeah.
I think I'll give them to you. But I think when the department heads come here and tell us what's going on, and it's their opportunity to tell us what they could use or what support we could give them, and I just think it's real beneficial to the district to have those reports. Otherwise, we lose touch with those administrators, we don't see them
Mhm.
unless they come here usually.
Mhm.
So I'm totally in support of it.
I agree. I think monthly, I would recommend, this is looking out for the people that are doing those reports. Their main job is to be in front of kids, so something like this is extra on their plate, and I get that. So I would recommend actually a calendar for the year, and that way if we need to switch around departments or whatever, they've got one forewarning, so they can put something together that's actually robust with enough information when they come before us, but that we can also see ahead, so if we've got questions that we know to the English department, because literacy is a big thing or something and it's upcoming, that we prepare those and have those ahead of time so that they can address those. And then I agree, I mean, it can be seriously a quick email back to you that you kind of compile before the board meeting, but we just get a one line or a couple lines, something.
Mhm.
I mean, your updates are usually really good, but I think just a summarized from
A
each
paragraph
building.
summary.
Yep, of something that's happening, so we've got an update all the time. I agree
So
with
you're talking about from the performing arts, from the little
Elementary
dragons,
schools,
through the schools, all the high schools as
Not
well?
necessarily, well, I mean, as far as, so presentations by department, I think if, I don't know who, whether that be maybe something for Kevin, or you, but, a list of departments that we would have reported out for the year. And basically propose that calendar, and we go, oh yeah, that's good, maybe we need finance in there, or maybe we need the liaison officer, like it wasn't part of that list or whatever. So a calendar for the year of actual presentation
Mhm.
style that we get, but then every board meeting, we've got an overall from an update from each building of
Yeah.
what's going on.
But,
You
but
want
I
a
think
report
we're-
from the administrators every month?
No, I think.
I don't think
Not
so.
a presentation style, just
I
a,
think
Just
hey,
a
this is
report.
what happened, this is what's happening
Just
in Elms.
a summary report, you know?
What I can do, and I think we've
Yeah.
talked about this a
Yeah.
little bit over the last month or two, and I think it's not it's a good idea. We can provide, it's maybe not a report, but it's here's what's happening, right?
Okay.
So if you wanna know, there's gonna be a parent night, or there's gonna be a family event, or there's gonna be an athletic, we can give you sort of itemized through and say, here's what's going on, at every one.
I mean, honestly,
You know.
I know at the elementary level, there's a newsletter that goes out pretty much once a month. We don't even necessarily get those, so,
Yeah.
Don't they
something like
send-
that.
Don't they put all that on Twitter? Don't each principal have their own?
They do, but
group?
for ease of you guys, I could compile that and make sure that you have.
Couldn't they just include us on all that?
Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
But then it's just, you're getting it 8 times instead of, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Only thing I worry about is overloading Ben.
Well, right.
This bond project is big,
Huge.
and it's gonna get bigger.
No, maybe that's just it, we just need to get
And I
forward.
I think there's gotta be some flexibility there, for him.
So you're communicating to a slightly different audience, and they can probably extrapolate some of the news that they wanna give us maybe from that newsletter. But like, a little history, where I worked some years ago, we did that for our board, where each department, gave, it was just a summary, a paragraph summary, like I said, anywhere between 3 lines and probably 20, depending how wordy you were, right? And of just, this is what we've done this month, like this is the groups that we've done, this is blah, blah, blah. And that way, it was the board, it kind of saved the board time, but also kept them aware of what was going on, right? Because there are so many moving parts that it allows us to know. And so again, it does not have to be something that's really long and drawn out, and that we have to go find it, that they just bring it, we can read through it, and maybe from that then be able to go, oh, this is what's coming up, I wanna be able to attend that.
Yep.
Because truth be told.
But isn't that all on the calendar? Doesn't the district have a calendar when there's parent nights at the elementary schools?
Yeah, there are some things that aren't on the calendar, that, for example, you might have a PTO night or whatever. I mean, it won't be too bad, I don't think, to compile some of this for you, but, I get that. What I'm also hearing is that, for the most part, I don't know, Chuck, if you have any preference, or Brian, I haven't heard from you guys, board reports, any specific reports you want? I'm hearing that we want to continue them, and you're fine having them.
Well, I've got, the student, we've talked about a student coming to board
Yeah.
meeting, but I don't want just a student representative, I want
them to, you know, maybe give us a 2 to 3 minute nutshell, what's going on at the high school? You know, anything new, robotics, any of the clubs, anything happening there that's really good and bad. I don't want just all the highlights, I want everything.
Concerns.
You know, but I want
From
it
the kid, yeah.
simple and.
From their perspective.
Yeah, from their perspective.
And I
That's what
guess
want.
that's maybe the hope of this summary. That may not all go into the newsletter, but that summary might highlight the good and the bad, you know, or the challenges, this is what we're working on, whatever.
I just don't want it too overwhelming where it's like, you know, we've got 10 people reporting to us, you know, every month. That's-
No,
I don't think it's
I'm
necessary.
thinking it's a 10 to 15 minute short presentation, and we would probably limit it to, you know, I mean, in terms of department reports, cause there's gonna be other things that you need to be updated on, budget hearings and those types of things, so we'll try and keep it so it's manageable.
Right.
So, do you have any specific requests or anything?
If you guys are gonna do that, I thought it'd go by school and by department, one page, no more than one page. You say paragraph, I say bullet points.
Yeah.
Swartz
Sure.
Creek High School, here's 3 bullet points.
That's great.
Middle school,
Keep it
that's
simple.
my suggestion, 3 bullet points.
Yep.
Siren, 3 bullet points. And that way, if something catches our attention that, oh, I heard about this, I need to talk about this, then maybe we can request, we need you here next month because of this. And that way, that will filter some of that out for most of us, I think. I'm not a Twitter fan or any of that other stuff.
Neither am I.
I'm afraid to get on
It's all on
social
web.
media because I'll hit the wrong button. So with that being said, or I'll say the wrong thing. So I would rather have it that way, if I could get a
Yeah.
1 page, or you could just email it to us. Maybe Joanne, you compile it, or Rod, and Joanne emails it to us, and we can see it all at one
Right.
time.
Yeah.
That way, at least we're all on the same page, and we can say, oh, this is what's going on at the middle school.
Yep.
We forgot about Deke, this is one of their concerns, and we just keep it to 3 bullet points or 4, whatever.
Just keep it
That
simple.
way it's
Yeah.
already, it's in our board packet, we receive it, we don't have to review it, we don't
Right,
have to read it
right.
here.
But maybe
Gives us
something
the
does
option
concern us,
to
yeah.
be aware. To your question, I think it's important for Michael, I don't know about, it's, I'm gonna mess this up, I think. The new athletic director
Yeah,
is
Mr. Suhanik.
Suhanik. There are 2 S
I'd like a report
S
from
last
him.
names that I get confused mentally. I got a mental block on. So maybe him, I don't know all of the different areas to necessarily ask about, but to maybe find the ones that aren't necessarily that we hear about all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with Jessica. I wouldn't mind having Tony Suhanik be the first one,
Yes.
since he's new,
Yeah.
and we'd like to hear what his plans are. And
Goals.
maybe we can discuss with him what
Can you
we
break
would
it down by
like to
school?
see.
We just found out at the
Can you
policy
break it
meeting
down by
that
school and then flip the page and have
there's new
department heads,
programs in
band,
athletics.
athletics, food,
Yep.
which we do
Absolutely.
that anyways, but if you keep it to the 3 bullet points still, by departments and by school, it's just simple.
Okay, that's really helpful.
Since our compliance officer isn't here, maybe the new compliance officer could prepare that and give it to you for approval.
He is
What
here. He is
release
here.
you
He
want.
is
here.
Oh, he is
I
here.
mentioned, I
He's
said,
slumping.
I didn't see him.
I mentioned Kevin too, I was like.
He's sitting low in his chair. He's recording it all.
That's what I suggested Kevin too.
Jessica, what suggestions he has?
Yeah, for
Thing.
sure.
What makes it easy?
Yeah.
'Cause I understand what everybody's saying, but it might
We're
be.
gonna outline
overwhelming.
that job description. by the
Well, we
end
wanna
of-
keep it so that it's manageable within the meeting.
Yes.
Or it'll be good. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad, are you gonna invite and then give us, highlight us on the new employee candidates?
Are you ready for 10A?
Yes.
All right, let me bring up Miss Lashbrook first so that she can introduce our new Morse teacher, Jacqueline Thompson.
Yes. So I am honored to be introducing Jacqueline Thompson to you. She comes to us from Woodland Park Academy. She's been teaching for 11 years. This will be her 12th. In the interview, we were like head over heels in love with her. As soon as she walked out, I was like, yeah, that's the one that I want. So I'm super excited that she accepted, and so here's
I'm
Jacqueline.
super excited to be here. I think it's going to be a great fit, and I just look forward to all the good things to come. So thank you, and great to meet all of you. Can I shake hands?
Not yet.
Come around. Yes,
Now
no?
you gotta prove it
Oh,
Okay.
not,
You're not- you're not
we have to go through the
okay.
process.
All right.
Do I have a motion?
Okay.
So moved.
I'm like, don't even.
Okay, who
Scott.
did the motion?
I did.
Okay.
So moved.
Tony?
Second.
Okay, Mike? Okay. So we got, be it resolved that Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Jacqueline Thompson as a first grade teacher at Morris Road, at Morris Elementary, effective August 26, 2019.
We're gonna do a roll call on this. Right.
2019.
Yeah, roll call,
It says
please.
90.
As presented.
What did I write?
Roll call.
29.
Joanne, we're gonna do a roll call on this.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
It appears as though, Jacqueline, you are now.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to meet you guys.
Did you teach first grade before? Yeah.
Not first grade, but I have done kindergarten
Lots
for
of
a while.
enthusiasm here.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Go ahead, Joyce.
I know it's a little. I gotta bring it down.
No,
it's awesome. Thank you so much.
No, we like enthusiasm.
All right, next I'd like to bring up Katie Pryor, Gaines Elementary Principal, and she has two people to introduce. And let's go first with Kelly Rader.
Alright, thank you, Kevin. So, hello everyone. We are adding 2 additions to the Gaines family this year. Kelly Rader is coming to us with 19 years of experience teaching kindergarten and first grade. I actually taught alongside Kelly when I was in the classroom together. I was a special ed teacher and she was teaching kindergarten and first grade. So I'm like beyond thrilled to have her back on my team. It's gonna be a great fit. She will be teaching first grade with us this year at Gaines. So we are super excited to have her.
Where did she come from?
She came from Linden Charter Academy with me, and then, sorry, I'm speaking for you. And then,
I taught 4th grade my very first year, accepting a position. And then I taught first grade for 13 years at a charter school in Flint. I taught kindergarten 2 years at that building before moving to Bentley for the last 3 years. So I'm excited to get back to first and to work with Katie, who I've loved working with previous. So I'm just super excited for this opportunity.
and her parents live on a farm,
I
and
know.
she's from a farming community, so we are just super excited to add her to our modern ag piece, and so we're very, so we are ready.
Excellent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Tony? Jessica? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community School Board of Education approve the employment of Kelly Rader as a first grade teacher at Gaines Elementary effective August 26th, 2019 as presented. Roll call?
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Chuck?
Yes.
6.
Motion
Passed.
approved. Congratulations. Maybe we could have an ag class. You could do ag. I used to have an ag class.
I have to ask my dad for some notes, but I can probably pull it off.
You can plant a seed.
And now we'd like to bring up Stephanie Hansen.
I'd like to introduce Stephanie Hansen. She is actually was our previous GSRP preschool teacher. She came to us in December. She turned that little classroom around and made a safe, warm, loving environment for those children. She built relationships with families. And so when this opportunity came up to loop her into the kindergarten position, I couldn't think of a better fit for her to come on board with us, come with those families that she has already established as a GSRP teacher into kindergarten. She's entering her 6th year of teaching, primarily in that early L realm, and she's currently actually at the Dragon Camp right now teaching at Deke for summer school. So she's branching out and making relationships across the district. So I'm beyond thrilled to have her complete that team and come along with those babies up to kindergarten.
I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity, and I love being part of Swartz Creek Community Schools. I love how the community is passionate about you guys, and I love being part of the environment here. So.
Good. How long have you taught for total?
About 6 years.
6 years total.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Alicia? Be it resolved that Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approve the employment of Stephanie Hansen as a kindergarten teacher at Gaines Elementary effective August 26, 2019 as presented. Roll call.
Jessica?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Alicia?
Yes.
6 yeses.
Congratulations, Stephanie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Stephanie.
Thank you, guys.
I have one question for you.
Good.
Do you want to have a question for them?
No, I don't have a question for her, all right, and I should have asked it beforehand, I apologize, Brian.
What's that?
And it's obvious, but I don't think we clarified it, we're hiring these people for retirees or openings that are vacant, we're not adding staff?
We are not adding staff, correct?
So we're staying status quo within our budget?
Yep,
And, are they retirements or people that left employment with us?
yes. Some of them, as early as you've noticed, and
I
they
know I
they
saw
come
some
in-
of the resignations, but I just wanted
Yes, and they come in,
clarified on.
yeah, these are not new positions.
Okay.
We are actually down 2 from where we're at currently this year.
Okay,
Yep.
are we gonna hire any more people?
We never know what's gonna happen in terms of the summer and, who might,
Bail
potentially.
on us?
Well, or retire or take a job somewhere else. We do have a music position that's still hanging out there and the interviews are going on right now.
Okay.
And so there's likely at least that one, and then we'll know if, we'll know soon, if there's any others, but
That was the only question I had, I should ask it beforehand, thank
that's
you.
good, yep.
Okay, Rod, did you wanna talk about the handbook?
Nope, so the handbooks, sent that out last Thursday, committees reviewed those on Monday. We have minor changes this year. Kevin was instrumental in putting those, change sheets together to try and make it as easy to understand as possible. And as, we talked about in the committee reports, we're gonna try and do an overhaul of those again and combine books this next year, so that'll be a goal. But other than that, we're asking for your approval of those so that we can print those and get them ready for the start of school.
Any questions for Ben? Okay.
I move to accept the handbooks as presented.
Okay. We've got a motion and you're taking notes, right? No, I'm sorry,
Oh.
you're taking notes.
I was.
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah. Okay, let me read this. 2019-2020
sorry.
student handbook approval. Be it resolved that Swartz Creek Community School Board of Education approved the 2019-2020 student handbooks as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And with that, we're down to public notice, public comments, anybody wanna comment? Any comments? I see none. How about board comments and questions?
I have something to share, and kind of a question, so, full disclosure, I work at this institution, but Mott Children's Health Center is a, pediatric facility downtown, we're located right next door to Hurley Hospital, but we partner with a lot of other community agencies. The Crim Fitness Foundation is offering a free teen yoga class in our building. It happens to be started next week through August 6th, but it's also just to highlight that we actually offer free gym use within our building for any child resident of Genesee County, 12 to 18. After school, basically, it's from 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. But other programs like this that come open from, basically we house them, and they're free programs to any resident in Genesee County, any child resident within Genesee County. I'll give you that if you want. And as stuff comes up like that, is there somewhere that I can forward that to so that it's available for our students to know about? I don't know.
So, yes, there's an approval process, and what we have to do is we're always looking at, there are specific guidelines on advertisements.
Gotcha.
And so, usually for nonprofits and things like that, there's no problem in terms of, but there is a difference between, say, getting it up on one of our kiosks and actually sending things home with kids.
Okay.
Those are two very different thresholds. So, yes, you can send it to me,
Okay.
and then I can see that, we review it, match it up against those, and then we can determine if it's something we can support. Usually community agencies doing free things for our kids at their services,
Yeah.
we're very open to share, just as long as we're not the ones making the copies and
Oh, no.
and those types of
And
things.
I honestly, I was leaning more towards like just an active link to something where
Mhm.
somebody can find out more.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, year round,
Yeah.
our gym is open to all Genesee County resident children,
Yep.
age 12 to 18,
And
with
that,
a health
I do
educator on staff.
we have our administrative retreat in early August, and when the administrators all come back to work, we do have, I kind of have a list of things that we go over them, and this would be a good opportunity so that they could get
Yeah.
that in their newsletters as well. Yeah.
I will forward.
Anybody else?
Yes. Can I mention that the GISD, when, it's all right, when I went and we voted to approve the GISD's budget, you guys all got a copy of this, the
me see that.
photocopy version of that.
Yep.
It was in a board packet. What you didn't get was that they included a profile of service components and partnerships with Swartz Creek and a profile of all their collaborative efforts. So there are enough copies here for each of you to take those. Okay, and to have that. Congratulations and best of luck to all three of you. And I will say, because somebody said something about having the high school representative, I'll just mention it now to consider. When I went to MASB, I talked to a board member from someplace else, and their board quarterly did a breakfast with some high school students. And that way they had the opportunity to be in the setting and not necessarily in a board meeting, but as well, just to get an idea of still what's happening in the district, and it just made me think of it again when somebody mentioned that, having a representative.
I would like one from, to be honest with you, and I don't know if we can get anybody, I'd like one from the middle school. I would like a young kid to come in here from the elementary school, if they can find somebody brave enough to do it, which I'm sure they are. It would be wonderful to have a third or fourth grader come and say, this is what I think is great about our schools, so we can hear them.
Or here's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be wonderful to get a kid from Siren, Deke, all of them, and let the principals pick a child and say, hey, listen, you're gonna give a little 5-minute dissertation to the board, we'll make it easy for them. They can bring some of their friends. And I think it would not only be good for the kid to have a lot of that experience, it'd be good for us to hear it from their perspective.
I love it.
I actually would like to see that, with one from every school, maybe, you know, like you said, just spread them out. Give them a 5-minute, 10-minute deal, and I think it'd
Well, that
great.
could be some of our presentations, as we talked about. You could do 2 or 3 in one night, the
Yeah.
15 to 20
Yeah.
minute, have 3 of them come.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Do that, do 3 of the elementaries,
3
and
of
the
them
middle
at one
school. I
time.
would like to really see that from all
No,
our
they,
schools.
no, giving them each 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe
She said
when-
doing 3 schools at a time instead of just spreading them out.
Yeah.
Maybe when we bring a school to do a report, they could make it a part of their presentation to have some students.
You guys think you could do that at the school? Would that be feasible? Would one of the kids say, who's gonna be the volunteer here to do this?
Probably a 5th grader, but.
I would love to see that, and say what the kid's experience was and what we can do to help, because we're gonna hear their perspective, and it's gonna open up all of our minds to, never thought about that. So, yeah, it'd be great if we could do that. High school, but I wanna go now, now that I'm thinking high school, let's do them all.
And for my final thought, I'd like to congratulate all the, I was gonna say new hires, but you're really not hired till August 26th, another month away. So you've got a month off until you start, hitting the road. But I'm sure you're gonna be in preparation before that, but congratulations on that. And I'd also like to thank Mary Penrod and Susie Waddell and Michael. This is gonna be a great thing, this food truck. Also, archery. I thank you for putting us on the map, archery team. Qualified world, competition, that's really something.
That's a big deal.
And yeah, and then the, of course, STEM camp at Deke, I'm always so proud of what they do over there at Deke and STEM, so congratulations. Anybody else?
Yes.
Mike?
To make up for what I said about Kevin, I want to say that when he gave the presentation Monday on the handbooks, he did an excellent job. He really did. Not a joke. And you did a great job, and I really appreciate what he did and the preparation that went into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those sheets were made it nice, those summary sheets. So, if we have nothing more, it is 8:07.
Public comment.
We already did that.
We did
We
public
did it,
comment?
yeah.
Okay, you're good.
Did he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
You're good.
You guys were chatting.
It's 8:17, we're adjourned.
Apparently, Robin, she's in that
I
list
thought we
today.
forgot it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Huh?
Everybody stood there, everybody stood there mute.
Yeah. So they'll take, they've gotten all of these, and then their job is to figure out how are they gonna put those into bid divisions.
Huh?
Where you
How
going
they
on
gonna
vacation?
package them.
Mechanized.
Okay, oh, did you get
We got
assigned
in.
camping?
Yeah, we got it. All they have is one spot, way in the back, but it's full hookup, and it's ours.
When are you going?
Well, he and
Oh, next
August
week
from today.
We're leaving.
and then their construction team, congratulations, yeah.
I wasn't.